Prophecy accounts for 25, maybe 30% of the Bible. That's a lot when you think about it, and that's why we reserve a few minutes to discuss current trends that you would expect from reading Bible prophecy. Much, of course, has been fulfilled, but there remain significant end times predictions. For example, we like to point out that the book of the Revelation is entirely future from chapters 4 until the end. That's getting less popular. More people are saying, oh, no, there's no future predictions in the Revelation. It's just a series of analogies and metaphors to encourage you in whatever difficulty you're going through. Not true. All future, all going to happen. So we look at things like biometrics and artificial intelligence, cashless commerce, the manipulation of human DNA, global government, and different things like that, because as they are developing, you could see in a parallel how the end times prophecies could draw from that and use that. For example, how are you going to have global commerce unless there's either one currency or, better yet, one electronic digital currency so that everybody could buy and sell, and we'd all be on the same page kind of thing. We're moving towards that. And so, by the time we get into the Great Tribulation or all that, it could be a completely different system, but it's so interesting that the things the Bible predicts are going to happen, the mechanisms for them exist today. The most significant prophetic topic has to be the nation of Israel. Thinking about Israel and the future, we have seen and we are seeing prophecy being fulfilled, as we like to say, right before our very eyes. So we talk a lot about the maybes, maybe this, new biometric technology is going to be the mark of the beast or that kind of thing. But then we have to back up and say, okay, let's think about the main topic of Bible prophecy, and that's the nation of Israel. And we can point in, most of our lifetimes to things that have actually miraculously been fulfilled. Now, the word diaspora was coined to describe the migration of Jews who came out of the Babylonian captivity. Since that initial diaspora, the Jewish people have faced many more upheavals and resettlements from the times of the Persians, then the Greeks, then the Romans. Jump ahead to World War II at the hands of Adolf Hitler. Regarding this diaspora, Jeremiah prophesied, and he said, "As the Lord lives, who brought up the people of Israel out of the north country and out of all the countries where he had driven them, for I will bring them back to their own land that I gave to their fathers. Behold, I am sending for many fishers, declares the Lord, and they shall catch them. And afterward I will send for many hunters, and they shall hunt them from every mountain and every hill and out of the clefts of the rocks." And so Jeremiah sees a future in which the Jews are dispersed all over the earth, but then they begin coming back to their homeland. And he mentions the north especially, and if I'm not mistaken, I think at least this last year, and most of the time, the greatest migration of Jews, the return of Jews, is coming from Russia and up that way and stuff. And so this is exactly, Jeremiah saw centuries ago exactly what would be happening in our day and age. Over 2,800 years ago, the prophet Ezekiel spoke these words about Israel. He says, "I will take you from the nations and gather you from all the countries and bring you into your own land." That's a straightforward, there's no other way to interpret that. Ezekiel says this is what's going to happen in the last days. The first part of that was fulfilled on May 14 of 1948. One day the Holy Land was under British control, and the next day it was under Israeli control. A nation was born in a day. Isaiah says, "Who has heard such a thing? Who has seen such things? Shall the earth be made to give birth in one day? Shall a nation be born at once? For as soon as Zion was in labor, she gave birth to her children." And so, a nation was born in a day. It's the only one I know of, and it's the nation of Israel as prophesied. Zechariah 12:3-4, God declares, "I will make Jerusalem like an intoxicating drink that makes the nations stagger when they send their armies to besiege Jerusalem and Judah. On that day I will make Jerusalem an immovable rock. All the nations will gather against it to try and move it, but they will only hurt themselves." And so this talks about the worldwide persecution of the Jews, the hatred of the Jews, nations of the world coming against them. That actually has been her history, right, since 1948, and it continues right now with this severe war that's taking place. I didn't get into it, but there are passages in the Bible that talk about a war with the country of Elam. Elam is the ancient name for the coast of Iran. And so the Bible predicts many things that are happening right before our very eyes. And so sometimes we get out there in prophecy, and people think we're being sensational, and, we like to talk about the mark of the beast and all these incredible things, and we forget God's been fulfilling prophecy since the Garden of Eden. And some of it close enough to our lifetimes to say, hey, this is what God said would happen. It's never happened before. There's no other nation like this. And it happened just the way God said it would. We live in the church age. We're going to talk a little bit about that this morning in our passage. It began on the day of Pentecost, 50 days after Jesus Christ rose from the dead. It precedes the time of Jacob's trouble that we more commonly know as the 7-year Great Tribulation. The tribulation is a future prophecy and won't begin until something fantastic happens. The Lord said he would return for us, the church, raising the dead in Christ, and then catching up, or we like to say rapturing believers who are alive when the Lord comes. And so the dead in Christ will rise and out of the cemeteries or wherever they happen to be. God will pull that together. Not in the same body. It's not going to be like Zombieland, in a new glorified body, but it has a connection to that original body the way a seed has a connection to a plant. And then once the resurrection takes place, this all happens instantaneously, but there is an order to it, and that takes place, and then you and I would be alive. But we can't go to heaven in these bodies, and so we'll have to be changed in a moment, in the twinkling of an eye, given our glorified bodies. Then we'll all be taken to heaven. Jesus promised the church, I will keep you from the hour of trial, which will come upon the whole world to test those who dwell on the earth. You and I will not be in the great tribulation. The resurrection and rapture of the church is always presented as imminent, meaning there are no prophetic events that need to take place before the Lord comes for us. He's not waiting for anything in particular, and we need to be ready for him. And so are you ready for the rapture? If not, get ready, stay ready, and keep looking up, because ready or not, Jesus is coming.